Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, Sunday night at 9. I am your host, Coach Glenda, here with my course manager and co-host, Rufus Carpenter. As most of you know, Rufus and I have created this forum to discuss trials and triumphs in past and present relationships. We encourage everyone to share, speak their truth, and talk as much or as little as they would like. And just a few housekeeping rules. We ask that you mute all devices so we can avoid any background noise, their truth, and get their comments in. Now I'm gonna allow Mr. Carpenter to tell you a little bit about his background.
Good evening, everybody. Like she says, my name is Rufus Carpenter, and I come to this space a little different than most. My background is mostly military, where I was what's called a race relation and human relation leader for my units. With that, I would go to any Army unit we had, and I would assess what kind of race or relationship issue they had, and I would perform what's called an intake form. And that intake form would help us decide what level of responsibility would fix that issue. My background was as a child, I was a helper. It was 14 of us in a in a one bathroom, 3 bedroom house. And if you know anything about living with your siblings, having to share a bed with four of your siblings, and one is occasional bedwetter, you learn a lot about the human connection. So with that, we're going to have a great night tonight. Tonight we're doubling back on one of our topics we've done before, so it should be kind of interesting because we thought we had slayed that dragon and put that dragon to bed, but apparently we didn't. So we're going to revisit it again. Now, one thing about Sunday night at 9, what we are a container where it's like you in your living room. You have 20 of your girlfriends. You guys are relaxed. It's Sunday night. The kids are in bed. And, you know, you got 20 of your girlfriends in your living room, and you guys are talking about relationship issues. You might be having 1 or 2 glasses of wine. The mood is mellow, and you get a chance to share your truth. And when you talk about what's your challenges and your breakthroughs, you help the sister beside you because you don't know her situation. When you look at her, she looks great, everything is fine, but she may dress her situation up a little better than most. So she might be kind of raggedy at home and going through some stuff. So when you say something and she hear you say it, you give her a chance to come out of her shell, and she can say, "Wow, if this person can come through it, I can too." So you give them hope. So that's what the night is all about. The night is Sunday night at 9. Our topic is a great one. This is the second time we did it, so we're circling back. So we should get a lot of good information out on this one. I want to say hello to all of our audience that's here tonight. Those that are fathers, I want to say happy Father's Day. And those moms that have been in that father's role because of whatever situation, we want to say happy Father's Day to you too. All right, Glenda.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carpenter. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have another hot topic, exploring that hobo life is real in relationships. Exploring that hobo life is real in relationship. This powerful metaphor touches on patterns we see and love, and quite often we do, especially when in our community of women, and it invites us to dig a little deeper. All right, tonight we're going to cover 5 areas under this topic. We're going to cover emotional nomadism, survival through dependency, uncertainty as a lifestyle, carving codes and signs, the cost of instability. So we're going to break down each one of those individually. So emotional nomadism, just like a hobo drift from town to town, some people drift from partner to partner, longing for connection, but never truly staying. They're afraid of roots, leaving just as things get vulnerable.
Okay. You want me to continue, Glenda, or you got it?
I'm gonna I'm going to start off with one of our examples.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay.
All right. Because once again, I want to say
All
this
right.
is
So the
something we.
first illustration for tonight, we have the hotel mama syndrome. Sasha is 35, successful and independent, but she's always cleaning up the messes her boyfriend leaves behind. Miss Bill spills emotional meltdowns. Her home feels like a sanctuary for his instability.
Ooh,
That seems
sound
like
like a good one. That sounds like
that
a
seems
good one
like
there.
it sounds like a what?
A good one there. That's a good way to
Yeah,
start it
that's a
off.
good one. Yeah,
That's
that is a good one. Sounds like Mr. needs a mama versus a woman.
sound like Mr. needs a job and
Well,
to
yeah,
grow up
that
in some
too.
maturity. That's what it seems like Mr. needs. Because a
Yeah.
lot of times people latch on to you for your resources. It ain't about your loving or your connection or passion. Some or what you can provide as a relationship partner. They're looking for resources. They're looking for a quick meal or a comfort when they
Right.
need it or when they want it, and your resources. And a lot of time, if you're the kind of person that's generous and you provide those things, then you have issues. Because one thing with my granddaughters, I have granddaughters now, and my conversation with them is, look, you are givers. You know, you guys are givers. You give your heart away. You like grandpa. You know you want to be a help to people. But if you match yourself up with a taker, you in trouble. So
Mhm.
part of your discernment in relationships, some of the things and signs you have to look for, if this person's a giver or a taker. Because if this person's a taker, they will just plumb wear you out. And being young and in a relationship because they're 18, 19 years old, to be young in those type of relationships, you know, you thrive your best because you want to hold on to this person. You want to make this person think that you love them, and you do, and you care. But sometimes you lose yourself in trying to help the other person, especially if you're a giver and they're a taker, because a taker don't know when to stop. A true taker don't know when to say, okay, look, that's enough. Now let me pitch in for a minute. Takers will take and just drain you dry. And then when you can't be that giver no more, they'll move on to the next one, a next person that do that. So you have to discern that or understand that very, very quickly. And that's why we circle back to this hobo life is real, because we want to give you the clues and we want to give you the way that you can, despite, you can feel this, or you can detect this, or you can have some type of way to judge, is this person for real or not? Okay, because when you've been taken and you crying alone on your sofa, it's too late. The only thing that is, you have gotten a lesson, you've learned. But we don't you I want you to learn from this instead of learning from that. Okay, all right, I'm sorry, Glenn, I didn't mean to get carried away, but when I saw that, I thought about my granddaughters. And those are two giving hearts, and if they get hooked up with a taker, it's, I might have go hurt somebody. Go ahead. All right, Glenda, you back? Oh, you in the chat, huh? You want to share
I
the chat?
totally understand that. But then that brings us to our second point.
Okay.
Yes. No, no, no. Can you hear me?
I hear you, but you're breaking up a
Mr.
little bit.
Carpenter,
It
can you
must
hear
be
me?
you're breaking up a little. It must be a storm in your area. You're breaking up a little bit. If you continue to break up, I'll take over the majority of the
It is.
conversation
It is.
tonight. Okay?
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now?
I can. Audience,
Can you hear me?
audience, is she breaking up on y'all end too? Somebody unmute and let me know. Is she breaking up, or she's coming through pretty clear?
I can hear it quite well.
Okay,
It's
then
breaking
maybe,
up on my end.
yeah, on my end she's breaking up. If it continues, I'll take over, or you can sign off and sign back on, Linda, whichever you prefer. Okay. All right, go ahead. Going to number two.
Okay, you go ahead and I'll sign off and come back.
Okay, number two. Let me find it. Normally she does this, so bear with me. Okay, number two. Dependence on the partner, emotional or financial. If you might describe a pattern of someone that relies on you. You think in your mind, you think they're relying on you for the romantic connection, but instead they're looking for survival. That person looking for survival, and what that person looking for housing, that person looking for money, that person looking for validation. And that's what the hobo syndrome is all about. These are the things that they're doing, and when they do that, they're dependent on your kindness. The same way a natural hobo will depend on strangers' kindness. It's the same thing. So this scenario, I kind of went off the script a little bit because I saw I didn't get her second scenario. I got my second scenario, and mine is dependence on a partner, whether it's emotional or whether it's financial. And when you get it with this partner once again looking for their survival instead of the romantic connection or genuine interest in you as a partner. They're looking for money. They're looking for housing. They're looking for validation. Some people have notches on their belt. Man, I want to see if I can get another notch. Boom. And, that's what they're doing versus saying, hey, look, I want to be in a committed relationship. So when you have someone that depend on your kindness and you're not getting what you need in return, or you see that they're ghosting you, or it's not consistent, that's when you have to speak up for yourself. This is when your boundaries, this is when your self-worth, this is when your self-care, this is when all these things need to jump in right quick, and you need to say, hold up, let's talk. Audience, how would you handle a situation like that? If you found yourself in a relationship like that this person is never really there for you, but you've given so much of yourself. You're giving your resources, you're giving your car. They drive you to work and they out riding around you working, and then they come pick you up, take you home, and then you got to cook dinner. you know how do you feel about this kind of stuff? Share your thoughts about this. Okay, come off mute. Everybody's on mute. Come off mute, somebody, and let me know what your thoughts about this. And I'll clock Glenda back in while you guys are doing that.
I think what I posted in your chat is that if you notice, a lot of your homosexual people are not single. So I assume that whoever they're dating must like it, I guess. And then I also kind of posted in the chat.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Good. No, go ahead. I thought you had finished. Go ahead. You said because you were saying so if they're not single, so they're booed up. So you're saying that they're in a relationship.
I also kind of posted in the chat that I'm actually like, one of the things I've been like talking to friends about today. I wonder sometimes, do people, or especially women, like when they know that the relationship is wrong because they know the guy's a hobo, but for whatever reason they have this, their heart doesn't seem to understand. So their brain knows it, but their heart doesn't seem to know it. So their brain wants to leave, but their heart keeps saying to stay, and they don't seem to have that strength. And I don't know if women are starting to realize that what they're feeling is normal. There are a lot of women who don't know how to leave a relationship, but their brain, they know it's wrong, but they just don't have the strength to let it go.
Okay. Any comments on that part before I comment? Any comments on that part? Any comments from the audience? Or Glenda, you want to address that before I say anything?
Well, the only thing I wanted to say in regards to what Andre stated is that most women, they don't like being alone, so they don't know how to let go. So they'll tolerate that type of behavior for as long as they can before they speak up or, cut the guy off because they don't want to be alone. Some women feel as if something is better than nothing. which it's not a good way of thinking, because at the end you're the one that lose out. I mean, he done benefited from everything that you had to offer, and at the end of the day, when you do finally call it quick, feeling alone.
Mhm. Okay, any more comments on that before I weigh in? Okay, here's what I noticed about and Andre said these people aren't single, they're in relationships. Matter of fact, they're in several relationships. The deal is these people have done it so long, they've gotten so good. These people are people that know how to manipulate you. These people are so smooth that a lot of times the person they connect with, they prey on, is someone that may have low self-esteem, someone that may not be as worldly as they are. So when they hook up with this person, oh man, I found the right one. Oh, my man, he's the best. Oh, no matter what he do, they're gonna accept it because they've got this treasure in their mind. They got to think they got this treasure, and this guy is really putting it on the thick because he feel he don't have anything to lose. His whole thing is gaining. So he can spend the time to love, and he's a professional. He's done this, or she's done this. Now this could be both sides of the equation. He's done this so much. He's a professional, and the young lady or young man, whatever, they're not that worldly as this hobo guy is. Because you got to realize this is this person's profession. This is this person's way of life. This is this person's survival. So they're good at it. They're darn good at it. So Andre, you say they seem to always be in a relationship. That's their lifestyle. That's the way. That's what they do. And that's why I told you when we first started, when Glenda turned over me, and I told you about my granddaughters, and I made it a point to have this conversation with them because they're babes in the woods. And that wolf in the sheep clothing, I want to protect them against them because I've seen so many people, so many guys and ladies that are, I'm not going to call them hobo, but they have that type of lifestyle where they're using people. And, all you can say is, hey, that's not good. That's not a good look. That's not a good thing. But, that's their business. I'm not going to put no signs out, beware, beware, my friend. I'm not going to do that. But, I address it with as much as I can. Okay. Okay, you got to help me out, Glenda. I can't keep it in chat. Andre hands move too fast for my eyes.
No, what I was saying is I talked to some guys who, when you're talking to them, it really seems like they really do, I guess, want that relationship thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I wonder sometimes if they may have grown up in the house of mama, breadwinner, she did everything, she carried the house together while the dad was running around the streets. If that's the way he grew up, thinking that was normal, and he gets with a woman who also grew up in that same type of concept, then it would look like he's a hobo when he's really in his natural element.
That's a good analogy. That's good analogy. Matter of fact, we had a workshop last night, and that's one of the things we talked about, but we talked about as trauma. And we talked about it, the things you learn or the things that happened to you as a child. See, that person you talking about, Andre, that person was in a family life where he saw this. He picked this up. No fault of his own. He learned this as his way of operating. So really, it's almost like trauma because that became his mental operating style. That's who he really was. He didn't understand that he had issues. He thought, hey, I'm doing what's norm. I'm doing what I seen at my house. I was reared this way. But that's a trauma. He has a pattern of love, a pattern of relationship. His pattern, the way he conducts himself in relationships with others, it's wrong. But if he don't recognize that pattern, if nobody bring that pattern to his attention, that's it. That's the way he do everybody. And then when he go in a relationship and they break up with him, eventually I had enough. You done drained me dry. I'm done. And his mind, why? I love you. Why are you leaving me? And he don't see the mistakes. He don't see the issue in himself because his trauma, his emotional pattern in life is that, hey, look, I'm doing everything I was taught to do. I'm loving you. I let you wash my clothes. I let you cook for me. I let you put gas in my car. Matter of fact, I let you put gas in my car. I let you get the check every time we go to the restaurant. You know, in his mind, that's the way it's done. But this is where we, the other person in it, has to look at these things and say, wait a minute, I'm noticing a pattern here. And when you notice a pattern, the pattern is you feel it first. You feel something. You feel, wait a minute, I feel like I'm being used. I feel like my bank account is going down. This guy's sleeping on my sofa. Or if I let him come in the bedroom, he's staying with me. You know, he's bringing little clothes here and there. I never get to go to his house. He never have money. It's almost like that Erykah Badu song. When I go out, I gotta take you and your friend and your cousin too. You know, it's that type of lifestyle. So you feel it. You feel, what do you feel? I feel I'm being used. Okay, then the second part of the mapping for emotional trauma is you gotta say, okay, this is what I'm feeling. Let me name it. Okay, I'm naming what I name in this situation is my mate is always taking, always requiring me to step up to the plate. So if I'm feeling used and abused, and I name that behavior of my partner, he or she's always taking from me, and I'm always one that have to step up. If we go to the movies, I gotta pay. If we go out, I gotta pay. So how can I fix this? And the fix part of this is, how can I reframe this? How can I reframe it? How can I change this where I can reframe it? Okay, I'm feeling that I'm being abandoned. I feel I'm being used all the time. I kind of name the situation in that this person never steps up. This person rely on me. I got to have a responsibility relationship for everything. Now I'm going to name this. I deserve a partner who's fair, who's putting 100% in a relationship as much as I'm putting in a relationship. It needs to be a trade-off. I need someone that I can love that can be a trade-off or can carry there in a relationship. And that's the way I do it from this point on. When I start feeling like I'm being used, and I'm gonna see what the belief is. The belief is that I'm always having to step up. This person is never ever doing their part. I'm overproducing here. So I'm gonna reframe this. From this point on, I deserve to be with someone that see and value my worth as well. That we do this together. This is a 100-100 thing. This ain't no 60-40 or 70-30. And that's the only way you're going to fix that. Because if you don't, you're going to get used and abused, and you can be sitting in your living room one day crying, eating a pint of ice cream, saying, why? I'm sorry I chased that rabbit hole, but that's something that the patterns of life, the patterns of relationship, because all relationships are things that you've learned along the way. Their patterns. And if you notice, take time and notice, you'll see even you have patterns. I have patterns in my relationships. I see the patterns I have in my relationships. And sometimes I see that they're not good. I try to change them. I see the patterns in my mates. You know, and then we get to talk about it. We have something called start, stop, and continue as a tool. And that's one tool I use when the person that I'm dating or with don't seem to understand that the patterns that they're portraying on me is not working. All right, go ahead, Glenda. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go out there, but I get very passionate about this here when we talk about patterns and relationships.
No problem. Now, where did you stop off? Because I had to log off and log back in.
When I didn't do your number two, I did my number two. So you back to number two. I didn't realize I was doing my number two until I was halfway in it. So I kept on going with my number two. So you can do your number two.
Okay, so the second example or illustration we have is the vanishing act. Simone meets someone new, and the chemistry is fire. But then they vanish for days, only to return with kindness. The push-pull feels magnetic, but exhausting, and Simone wonders if love must feel like a dread. I'm going to read that one again, just in case you didn't get it that time, okay? We have the vanishing act. Simone meets someone new, and the chemistry is fire, but then they vanishes for days, only to return with kindness. Something's up with that. The push-pull feels magnetic, but exhausting, and Simone wonders if love must feel like dread.
Okay. Any comments about this one from the audience? Anybody want to weigh in on this one? Okay.
Why does she? I just have a question. Why does she actually, or do y'all know why she might feel the dread? I guess that would be a question.
I know why. I know why. Because she's probably been this way before, or she just can't. She don't know how to address this. This is something brand new for her. In her mind, this shouldn't be the end result. She's doing all she can, and she's wondering why this is going on. She don't have any answers. So she's sitting on her sofa eating a pint of ice cream, wondering why. That's what's going on. She never experienced, well, she hasn't had the type of training, or she hasn't been coached about this type of thing. This is her first time going through this. And on that push-pull part, that was fun to her. When this guy was going back and forth, and he come back with all these excuses, and they have makeup sex or whatever, it's beautiful. It's nice to her. That's attractive. So in her mind, it shouldn't equate to me being here by myself. I'm doing everything right. We should be together. This, what's going on here? Because nowhere in here that says she kicked him out and never going to have anything to do with him again. It says she's sitting on the couch eating a pint of ice cream, saying, "Wow," waiting for him to come back again because he's vanishing. It's that cycle. Once again, that cycle. That cycle. You can't fix people. She can't fix her boyfriend. She really don't have the responsibility for her boyfriend. Only she can fix herself. She can help herself. She has responsibility for recognizing this and doing something about it. That's her responsibility. And in this situation, if you're in a situation like this and you don't know how to get out, this is when you might need some coaching or counseling, or you might need to see a therapist. Because this is not right. And you might need someone to help you sort through this. Because if you don't, you'll be in the same loop. And let's say that she married this joker, and they live 5 or 6 years and 7 years and 8 years. Then she decided, well, I can't take this anymore. I'm done. This is 3 or 4 kids down the road. I'm done. Because some people get in relationships like that, and that's normal for them. They say, hey, look, I take the highs and the lows. Being in love is a dread. This is what being in love means. It happens every day. It happens every day. I mean, I don't want to tell Glenda's story, but Glenda was in an 18-year, a 7-year marriage, 18-year relationship to get out of that. And she saw some of the signs. She saw some of the signs when she was 19 years old. She saw some of the signs right then. She could have held a red flag up and say, stop, and ended it. But it took her 7 years in the marriage and another, 10, 11 years to break free. The stuff we're going through, these are real examples. This stuff right here is stuff that happens every day. And it happens more so in the Black culture than anywhere else because we're so giving, we're so trusting. Black women feel they can fix everything. They pull out their 100 miles per hour tape and the band-aids and they patch up all us guys. And they figure they got to go to work and patch us up.
Right.
And they give and give and give and give, and we take and we take and we take. That's why it's very important we have containers like this, letting know no. Put your band-aids and your 100 miles per hour tape down. This person should come to you whole. You shouldn't have to go and rescue anybody. This ain't a place where you go and rescue stray dogs and stray cats.
Right.
Relationship, that's not a relationship.
Right.
Okay, did I answer your question a little bit, Andre?
Yes, sir, you did.
Okay, all right. Okay, Glenda, anybody else before we go to 3? All right, Glenda.
Okay. All right, we have the next illustration. We have temporary fixes. Tasha is hurt but curious. Her partner drifts towards her home during hard times and away when things get real. She begins realizing she's providing refuge, not mutual space. Sounds like he's trying to avoid commitment, or he doesn't want to commit. If you're only, present during the good times, and when the hard times come, you go away, or you do the vanishing act, it should make the other party wonder, like, what's really going on. It should question your commitment to me, your faithfulness, your dedication, because I don't need you just when everything is looking sunny. I need you when it starts to thunder and storm and it starts to get cloudy outside. So Tasha, she's receiving and noticing red flags. Now, what she does with it, that's a different story. Because I know some women, they ignore all of this, even though it's right there in their face, but they will ignore this. Like, okay, it'll get better next time, or it won't happen again.
Everybody agree with that, or anybody got any different scenario, any different take on this scenario?
I think the only thing I just wanted to add, a lot of times I think people think that Tasha might be like somebody with maybe low self-esteem or maybe low intelligence, but there's a lot of Tashas with PhDs and medical Tashas and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Most of them, those are the ones that get used most of the time. It's the educated ones, the ones that have it going on.
Correct, because I think they let their guard down a lot easier.
Yep. And there's another side to this too. There's another side to this, that the gentleman, like you said earlier, Andre, that that guy was kind of reared in a home where he saw his mother do everything. So this could be innocent on the guy's part. This could be a guy that was reared this way. This is what we saw at home. And when it got to the point he had to confront issues with Tasha, he didn't know how. So he did what he knew how to do, run. You got some people that in relationships, they're good people, they just don't know how to handle it. They never went to psychiatrists, or they never went to a coach. They never got the training themselves. So a lot of times they run away from relationship. Here's some things that happen. This is, and I'm gonna keep it plain. When a guy in a situation like this, here's what they do. A lot of times they run. They it's called fight or flight. They run. The next step, they fight. And they fight. They're gonna make Tasha conform. They're gonna make Tasha shut the heck up. And then another thing they do, they self-commit. They what's that word? Self-medicate. They go get a drink and get drunk. Now, the fourth thing that a lot of people do, that some do, and some all should do, is say, let's talk. Tasha, let's talk. Tasha, this is a little over my head. I'm struggling right now, trying to keep up. Very few men are belly up to the bar and say, hey, I need help. Hey, babe, look, this is a little rough on me. I don't know how to handle this. Help me out. A lot of black men have too much pride for that. I think we're getting better. We're getting better now. But those four things happen in relationships. Fight or flight. The guy just leave ghost for a while. Then when he think it's cool down, he come home. The fight guy gonna fight, beat her up. Shut up, woman, and gonna make her submit, unless she's big and bad and he is, and she make him submit, and so tell him what to do. And then they self-medicate, drink, drugs, or whatever, or have affairs. I forgot. They drink, they have drugs, or they go have an affair. They go find comfort somewhere else. And then the last thing they do, they ask for help. Any thoughts about that part of the scenario? Any comments about that part? Have any of us been in those situations? Have we been in situations like that? Because if you haven't, I have. I've been in that same situation. And when it happened to me, I'd seen my dad and mom fight, so I wasn't going to fight. I didn't drink or didn't smoke because I was an athlete. I didn't know how to go to her and talk. You know, I just went to work and worked harder. I became a success on the job. I was the #1 employee for years because I found more peace at work than I did at home. Right. And it took me a whole lot of years to realize my problem wasn't that I didn't like home. My problem is I didn't like the confrontation of home. Okay. So one day I had to see a psychiatrist about another issue. And I saw the psychiatrist about the other issue. He talked to me, and I realized something. Oh, wow. I can talk this out. And matter of fact, let's be honest with you, that's what started me into relationship counseling and relationship coaching. The time I spent with my psychiatrist. So this one is real. This one is real too. I've been in that one. Okay. All right. Anybody? I saw a hand go up. Somebody wanted to share.
I think that was to your question. Has anyone been in that situation?
Yeah. And that was true. So I was a shortfall in that one. I just didn't know how. I didn't know how to cope because I had seen my dad beat my mom up every weekend, and I promised myself I'd never hit a woman. I didn't drink because I was an athlete, so I didn't have much to do but go to work. All right.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Carpenter, Andre put in the chat. I think this topic can be a learning lesson for everyone with kids. Girls are taught to fix every problem. Maybe they should be told to stop trying to fix them and his issue. And I agree.
Ask Andre if Andre don't mind if he'll come off and share a little deeper to that, because the way he's put in the chat, I think he's seen a lot more than I have.
I think really just talking to a lot of women who, when I look at how women are raised, for example, a lot of women are raised that they're going to be the cook, they're going to clean up the house, they're going to pay, whatever the problems are, they mommy duty, they fixing everything. I don't think women know how to turn off fix it mode when they get into that relationship. So how they were when they were parents, raising their kids, fixing all their kids' problems, sometimes the man become I guess they go into fix it mode with their man. Mm-hmm. And I'm just saying that children or young girls, as they become teenagers, should be taught by somebody that when you get into a relationship, you don't always need to stay in fix it mode. If he, once at a certain point, you got to turn off fix it mode and let him go about his way and fix his own self, I think.
Now, if you've seen this or been a part of this before, can you just put in chat, me too? If you've seen this or been a part of this before, put in the chat, me too. Because you don't have to put it in chat, but if you did, that would be great. But because this is, like Andre said, this is the way a lot of us are taught. A lot of us are taught that the man is the head, regardless of what, even if he's a fool, he's still a head. Mm-hmm. That's the way we're taught. And sometimes because he's taught that, women that are sharper, brighter, more intelligent than the man, they cower down. They don't let their skills out because they don't want to outshine the man. You know, and they'll go ahead and they'll go ahead and live rough because they don't want to shine and say, hey, look, guy, you sit in the back seat. I got this. We're going forward. Because my mom was a lot brighter than my dad. I'm telling you, my mom was shocked. But she didn't do because of my dad. She loved my dad so much that she just wanted him to feel okay. She wanted him to be the man. And there was 14 of us in our family. So just think all 14, it was 9 boys and 5 girls. So just think 14 people learned how to be dysfunctional. You know, and that's not a good look, but that was reality. That was reality. Okay. All right. Any more questions before we go to number 4?
Okay. I'm here.
Okay,
here.
good.
Okay, so we have example illustration number 4, relying on hidden signs. Jessica learns to read Hobo codes in her relationship, a sudden late night text, need to feel heard, canceling plans, unmet emotional needs. But does decoding mean connection or just covering instability?
Oh, this is a good one. This is what I was talking about, the signs, when you get to recognize the signs. So here we're talking about recognizing the signs now. What are the signs? What do you look for in relationship to find out? You know, and this is when very important when that relationship, in that runway in relationships. When you first start talking to someone, it's very, very important that you do your due diligence when the relationship first starts. You know, a relationship has five different stages to it anyway, phases to it anyway, and that works for a reason, because when you decide to actually be with someone and you pair yourself with them and you're in a relationship, sometimes it's too hard to get out. The mess is so entwined that it's hard to get out. So therefore, that runway, when you first meet someone, you know, you need to have your eyes open. I know they're beautiful. They can't do nothing wrong. You love them to death. And where you been all my life? That's cool. But you still got to look and make sure you understand what's going on. Because those 5 stages of relationship are mating or courting, or however you want to do it. Those 5 stages are for a reason. That first stage is the honeymoon stage, and everything is so beautiful. You know, they tell you to do all this stuff. Oh, okay, I'll do it. Because you want to be loved. That second stage is when you start spending some time with them. When you say, "Okay, Joe, you know, you were the most beautiful thing when I first saw you. Now the lights on, you got a few wrinkles, and now you can start gauging if this person's for you or not." Because that third stage is when you start settling down and start being committed to this person. So if you haven't found out this is your person by the third stage, you're gonna set yourself up for some challenges. Okay, and let's talk about this hers again. Relying on the hidden signs. Who have helped themselves out in a relationship when they first met somebody and decided this ain't for me, and you invested very little time and you realize this ain't for me, and you're able to back out or come out unscathed or unhurt, or your pocketbook or your wallet still intact. You know, who has gotten that skill? Now, a lot of times we want to be loved. A lot of times we see people, our heart, man, that's the most handsome, most beautiful person. They say everything right, man. They do this, but who on this has had a chance to say, wait a minute, I'm infatuated, but here's my standards. Here's my boundaries. Here's what I notice. Anybody want to share one of those things? Because I know all of us have failed all of us went beyond that, and we fell head over heels, and we didn't find out to way up the road. I know we done that part. We all done that. That's part of learning. Glenda got something called you fall down. What's that thing about the white meat thing, Glenda, you say?
Bust your head down to the white meat.
Yeah, all of us done that in a relationship before we backed out. But
multiple times.
Who's got what in the country they call that picker? Who's got their picker so precise that they can actually see some of this stuff before they actually make that serious commitment?
I can say today I'm better. I'm better with my picker now. Now, last year before that, yeah, I was a little, my picker wasn't functioning properly. But 2025, my picker works great.
Anybody else want to share something about their picker, how they've kept themselves from being derailed and kept themselves from going way up the road before they realize how they're gonna get rid of this joker? Okay, I heard somebody say something.
I just sniggled.
Okay, yeah, and we got somebody just came on. For those that came on late, what it is tonight we have a special subject because I think 3 or 4 people came on late. We have a special subject, and the subject was brought to us by Andre, and the subject tonight is the hobo life in relationships is real. That hobo life is real in relationships. And what it is, we spent the last about 30 minutes talking about the hobo lifestyle, and we broke it down how you get with a person, you going in with your heart, and end up giving your resources out, your time out, your love out, and they take your car while you go to work, and they riding around all day, and they got to pick you up from work, and then you wondering what's going on. And we've talked about that in great lengths. And now the part Glenda just got to the part now in 4 where we are now beginning to realize some of the signs when this person is really a hobo, or this person is trying to drain you, drive your resources, and they're only with you for what they can get, your resources, your time, your money, validation, and these kind of things. So right now, the question on the board right now is, have you developed your sense of selection of people or your boundaries to the point now you can see some of these things? And can you give us an instance, or it don't have to be you, or example of where you've done this or seen somebody that done this that saved themselves a lot of heartbreak in the past? And that's where we're at right now. We're asking anybody want to share one of those things. And in the country, we call it picker. You get to pick the right one. Your picker is calibrated, and you can pick the right person. Anybody want to share any moments or any thoughts of anything they've seen, or any practices they got to make sure the picker is calibrated?
Well, when I was a lot younger, this guy always came to the house, and he had a clothes basket in the car. And he came to visit one day, and my dad was sitting on the porch, and he was like, "Why that dude always got a clothes basket in the car?" And he was trying to move in the house with me, so he would always have his clothes with him. And I was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna cut that short right now."
Yes. Yeah, you not only that clothes basket would have came out the car and in your laundry, you'd have been washing the clothes in that clothes basket if you'd have kept that up. Yeah, that's a good lookout. That was a good one. I love that one. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else want to share any examples? You can put it in the chat if you want to. You don't have to say it. You can put it in the chat. Okay, anything in the chat, Glenda?
No, not in regards to someone wanting to share.
Okay. All right. Then let's talk about some of mine. Oh, let me make sure let me talk about some of mine, because you gave yours. Let's talk about some of mine. All right. One of mine is unstructured or scrappy. It's one in mine. Unstructured or scrappy relationship dynamics. Okay. And this is when when someone might come to you and you're in a relationship with them and it's chaotic. You find yourself in a relationship with a person is chaotic, they're improvised. It means that they're just they never have any planning. The person that you're dating, the person you're in a relationship with, your partner, everything is so chaotic in their life. They never plan. You say, hey, can we go here Friday or Saturday? And they say, well, I don't know. Let me get back with you. My plans aren't quite set up yet. And then they have very few boundaries in themselves, and they don't have no long-term goals. And you notice they're surviving from day to day. But in your mind, this is a person that you might want to spend some time with. This is a person you might want to be in a relationship with. This is a person you want to have a connection with. But you notice from the very beginning, they're unstructured and kind of scrappy. And this is a time where they have very few boundaries themselves. They have no long-term goals, and they live from day to day. What do you do in a situation like that? What would be your approach? How would you handle that? I can tell you what normally happens. Anybody got anything to share? You may share what normally happens in relationships like that. Andre, what did Andre say?
Okay. Andre, that goes back to women not seeking someone that need her to be his refuge.
And that's true. That's very true. For some reason in our culture, Black women are so strong. They're so strong, and they will jump in right quick and fix that man. They say, I can fix you, baby. Come on over here. I got you. Come on over. I got you. And they will pull out the Band-Aids and the duct tape and go to work. And they will make this man whole with their resources. It happens a lot in our neighborhood. And that's why we have so many single households that are run by single Black women. We've got, I think it was like 70% of our children are going home to single family households every day. And majority of them single households are women, strong Black women. So this is what happens. For some reason, how do we change that culture in Black America? How do we change that? Because family is a cornerstone of any culture. So how do we change that? I mean, ladies online, any of you felt where you had to bill a man? I think they call it bill a bear. But any feel you had to bill a man?
Bill a bay.
Bill a bay. I'm sorry, Bill a bay. I'm sorry, I don't know all the slang talk. But any of you feel like you had to bill a bay before? You had to kind of build them?
Absolutely. It was short-lived.
Go ahead. Gigi, you were going to say something? Because I'm going to ask the men next. I'm asking the ladies first. Have you ever had to bill a man? And you knew it. You knew it going in. You knew what you were signing up for. You actually knew you were signing up for it. And you knew that from the very beginning. Okay, if I be with this man, I'm going to have to do every daggone thing.
Someone put in the chat, yes. A lady put in the chat, yes. And another lady.
Some no. I see the no.
I know.
It sounds like a sharing issue. But yeah. Okay, so any ladies want to comment before we ask the men the same question?
Excuse me. I would say yes, but I did it basically because I was young. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand. I didn't know. I was thinking, okay, and I knew that he and I wasn't on the same level, but I thought, I can bring him up to mine, and he allowed that. He didn't try to do anything beyond that. I had to tell him to go here, go there, do this, do that, and it worked for a while. But after a while, I finally got tired of it. I thought, what the world? I had to really look into someone else's life to see myself.
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't see myself doing it. Other people saw that in me, but I didn't see that. But when I began to look in my girlfriends' lives where our finances were equal, doing things, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? How come I can't do what they're doing? Because then I realized, look at what you're doing with yours. I mean, I think I was a champ at it, but I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. And then when I began to say, wait a minute, I saw myself, I pulled out of it. I decided, no, this is not my life. This is not the way I'm going to do it. But he allowed me to do it. But then too, when I tried to pull away from him, he became different. He began to want to make me think, no, you can't stop doing this. You got to keep doing this. Right. And I'm like, I'm sorry, brother. It's out. You out of here. I'm out of this. So that was it.
Yeah. Right. Any more ladies want to share before we ask the men the same?
I did want to make a comment to piggyback on what Annette said, that usually when I call it quits, or if the guy call it quits in our relationship, I immediately put them on block. So any benefits, resources that you were getting before when we was in a relationship, it all comes to a halt. I don't fill out no applications. I don't do no research. I don't try to help you understand a legal document. I put you on a serious block. You can't even call me no more.
Oh, that's interesting. And a lot of times that's when like Annette brought up, when the guy was indifferent. This is when the guy go to those 5 things I told you about earlier. This is when they either flight or flight. They said, okay, no problem, just leave. Or they get mad, want to fight, beat you up. Or they self-medicate themselves. They say, well, hey, okay, no problem. They go get drunk and drugs or something like that. Or the fourth one is they'll try to talk you out of it. They'll say, just one more time, baby, I promise I'll change. Now that you brought it to my attention, I'll do better because I thought that's where it was. And then the last thing is they'll go find somebody else to do what you did. Right. That's what guys normally do in relationships like that. Now, the same question: any guys on the line that have felt they had to build a girl, they had to build a companion. They saw a person and the person came to them raggedy, like the thing said. The person came to them chaotic, had very few boundaries, had very little planning, no long term for their life, and they're surviving from day to day. Fellas, how would you handle a girl like that if you were interested in her and she was interested in you? What would be your steps? How would you handle that situation? Any guys want to come on and talk about that?
I will say I knew a guy that actually, well, several guys that from what they described, their girlfriend was not as intelligent, and I guess they was the intelligent one in the situation. And what it seemed like was that they had all these children with her, and after about maybe 7 to 10 years, they decided, I guess like how someone said earlier, they got tired. But by this point, you have 4 or 5 little individuals who don't understand why you left mommy. And then as what I'm saying as an educator, when I see mommy who may not be as smart trying to raise these 4 or 5 individuals on her own, that can be very demanding and toxic, well, not toxic, but challenging, because the man is now gone with his new family and she's left trying to piece together this situation that she didn't know what she was getting herself into like this.
Yeah, that happens. But when you said that he's not bright, that she's not as bright as he was, I think both of them had some bright issues because he had a bunch of kids with it. He knew the deal. You know, he wasn't as bright as we might think he might have been in that situation. Okay, any additional one? And I won't pick on your friend, but when you look at down the road, because children, that's a responsibility. Even though he left her to go to another woman, that was still his responsibility too. Any additional ones? Okay, I'll give mine, and then Glenda, we got to get a turn on you so you can take us home. Okay. I was in that same situation. You know, I was young. I was a young guy. I was really young, and I thought this girl was the most beautiful girl I've seen in my life. And that girl gonna be mine. Ain't nobody else. That's gonna be mine. And I went through that and seeing like every 5 minutes we had some issues. Seeing like nothing was right. I said, whoa. I got to the point. I said, okay, look, wait. I can't take it no more. I had to throw up a flag and bow out because it was just too much work. It was too much weight to handle. Okay. All right. Any comments before we turn this over to Glenn and go home? Anybody want to say anything that they've been holding and didn't get a chance to get it out?
Yeah, I just wanted to say Father's Day to all the men there and the women that did their part as the man and the woman. And I just apologize for being quiet. I've just been a good listener to the whole night. Y'all enjoy.
All right, good. Anybody else want to say anything before we turn this over to Glenda? Okay, Glenda, all minds seem to be clear. On you, Glenda.
Okay, thank you so much for the happy Father's Day message. Just a small recap. We discussed the emotional nomadism. Just like a hobo drift from town to town, some people drift from partner to partner, longing for connection, but never truly staying. They're afraid of roots, leaving just as things get vulnerable. Then we covered survival through dependency. A relationship hobo is someone who uses love for shelter, emotional or financial stability rather than genuine connection. This can leave one partner carrying the weight of the other's survival. We also cover uncertainty as a lifestyle. The hobo road is unpredictable, no guarantees in relationships. That unpredictability can feel exciting at first, but breeds inconsistent support, communication, and safety. Also, we cover carving codes and signs. Hobos left signs to guide fellow travelers. Similarly, similar people in emotional transit relationship leave unspoken markers, disappearing texts, elusive commitments, sporadic intimacy that signals this isn't home. We covered that as well tonight. And last but not least, the cost of instability. Living rough has serious consequences: stress, loneliness, self-doubt. When reflected in relationship, these costs shows up as anxiety, emotional exhaustion, and a persuasive fear. Am I next to leave? And so in my closing, before we wrap everything up, I just want to say quickly, I put in the chat, we have our cruise coming up in October. If you are planning to go, I want to make sure that you reach out to Felicia Johnson in regards to what your balance may be and make sure everything is all clear. I think the deadline, if I'm not mistaken, is for all payments is July the 13th, 2025. Also, please like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube channel, as well as join our Facebook public page. It's under Glenda Driver. Let's see what else. And if there's any questions and concerns, please feel free to email us at reset2hr@gmail.com. And if there's nothing else I need to throw out there, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us for our first relationship conference on last night. It was amazing. We gave away a lot of good prizes. We really had a good time last night. We really did. We just really enjoyed everything, all the feedback, all the participants that came in and showed up and showed out. Now, ladies, today we uncovered the truth many of us face without even realizing it, that hobo life is real in relationships. We drift, we disappear, we become shelters, but that limbo hurts. We deserve to stop chasing fleeting moments and start building a home in each other's heart, rooted, unwavering, safe. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
I was glad to see some of you guys. I see some of you I haven't seen in a while. Thanks for being here tonight. Awesome.